Question: what is gaming all about? Answer: it's about violence and sex and drugs because those things are beyond cool. This much is implicitly understood by every person to even look at a Nintendo Wii. Gamers love high-octane, heart-pounding, non-stop action, but sometimes I just want to jump rope in an entirely Meta Knight-themed apartment. Sue me. Kirby's Epic Yarn is the best game in the series. I mean, just read the title, and while I'm sure a lot of people disagree with that statement, it seems most would agree that it is, at the very least, a good game. The most common criticisms are that it shouldn't have been an entry into the Kirby series at all, and that it's too easy. And I kind of agree with both of these. Epic Yarn plays very little like the rest of the games in the series. Copyability, Kirby's signature mechanic, are completely absent from Epic Yarn. In fact, the only things that resemble any other Kirby game at all are the characters in Final World, Dreamland. Perhaps Nintendo shouldn't have slapped the Kirby brand onto this game and should have instead made it an entirely new IP. I agree with the critics on that point. However, I disagree with the idea that this is a detriment to the game. While the gameplay differs wildly from the rest of the series, the tone and style matches Kirby incredibly well. Additionally, just because this isn't a great Kirby game doesn't mean that it's not a great game in general. Epic Yarn is similar to Super Paper Mario, which doesn't match the earlier games in the series at all, with the only real similarity being the recurring characters. I don't think I have to convince most of you that Super Paper Mario isn't a great Paper Mario game. It's still an incredible game in its own right though, and one of my favorites on the Wii. It seems unfair to judge both Epic Yarn and Super Paper Mario based on how they fit in with the rest of their series, rather than the merits of the games themselves. As for the complaints over how easy the game is, I, again, somewhat agree. The game is incredibly easy, likely an attempt to make it more accessible. It was on the Wii after all. It's literally impossible to die. Getting hit causes you to lose gems, which are unimportant except for completionists. There is no way to fail these levels, and very little challenge in even the last world. However, again, I disagree with this being a problem. Kirby has always been one of Nintendo's easiest series. I mean, one look at the main character and you can immediately tell that, yeah, this isn't Dark Souls, nor is it trying to be, and that's okay. Epic Yarn is the easiest in the series, yes, but one glance at anything Epic Yarn related communicates the goal of the game quite well. You're meant to boot it up and just relax, and Kirby's Epic Yarn accomplishes that goal with flying colors. Now that I'm done absolutely destroying this game's critics in my imaginary argument, let's talk about why I like this game so much. Just look at it. Its art style is adorable as well as impressive. Everything is arts and crafts themed, and I mean everything. Even the darkness follows the theme. Enemies are incredibly expressive, and you'll often want to spare them for no other reason than they're fun to look at. Most levels also have a unique animation when you're unlocking them, and these are always an absolute joy to watch. Speaking of levels, the level themes are quite varied, and I always looked forward to seeing what the next one had in store, though the levels themselves weren't necessarily well designed. They get the job done, but they're nothing to write home about. As far as gameplay goes, there's really not a lot to talk about. Kirby can run, jump, and use this yarn whip, but that's about it. The story is also about as bare bones as it could possibly be. It's basically just, here's the bad guy, he makes things yarn, kill him. That being said, while the story isn't all that great, the way it's presented is. It's presented in a storybook style, and they have this narrator who does all of the voices.
This grass feels funny, Kirby thought. It feels like pants. No, that's my magic Metamato. Kirby, forgive me. I blame the yarn.
Actually, the entire experience can be summed up as not that great but surprisingly satisfying. It's not a game that will really stick with you for its incredible storytelling and deep gameplay. Most of the things you think of when you consider what makes a good game are absent here. But there is one very important quality, in fact the most important quality that can be found throughout this entire experience. The game is just fun. It's like pure joy concentrated and shoved onto a disc. It's not going to change your life, but if you're having a bad day, it'll sure change your mood, and that makes it worth your time in my book. Also, Meta Knight room, so I don't see how this can get any— oh, what the fuck?